A man who murdered his girlfriend by stabbing her to death in a hot tub during a frenzied bloodbath has been jailed for life. 41-year-old Aren Pearson knifed 24-year-old Claire Leveque at least 26 times in a crazed and booze-fueled rampage at his mum's house. The Canadian carried out the sickening attack at a property in Sandnes in Shetland after the couple had been drinking together. He denied being responsible for Claire's death and told the jury that he watched her stab herself on the 11th of February last year. But today he was convicted of her murder following a trial at the High Court in Edinburgh.
Your much younger girlfriend, your victim in this case, was isolated and vulnerable in Sandnes. You had from almost the outset of her arrival there subjected her to a cruel campaign of violence and coercive control. On the afternoon of 11 February 2024 in the garage, you inflicted some 36 injury or injury clusters to her head and neck. You inflicted at least 26 defined stab wounds. You embedded a knife within your victim's skull. You inflicted injuries in the area of her eyes, nose and ear. You sliced her right nostril. You repeatedly inflicted blunt force trauma to her head, neck and body. She sustained significant defensive injuries. You compressed her neck and submerged her head and body in water in a final attempt to finish her off by drowning her. You took a video of her lifeless body in the hot tub. You offered her no assistance. Instead, in an exercise of bizarre self-pity, you had, prior to returning to the scene of your crime, left Miss Leveque in order to drive your Porsche into the sea. You at no stage yourself sought help for her, even as she lay dying from her wounds. Miss Leveque died a squalid death of quite unimaginable, multifaceted violence, including in particular severe and frenzied instrumental violence, all at your hands. This was a sustained episode of feral butchery. You have sought to blame Miss Leveque for your own assaults against her, and you have, in a grave insult to her memory and to her bereaved family, put forward a defence that Miss Leveque inflicted these catastrophic injuries upon herself, a defence that the jury have unanimously rejected. On charge 4, I now pass upon you, on a concurrent basis, a sentence of imprisonment for life. I fix the punishment part of this disposal at a period of 25 years. This sentence will be similarly backdated to 15th February 2024. The court is required to take account in this sentencing exercise by virtue of your conviction under the domestic abuse aggravator set out in Section 1 of the Abusive Behaviour and Sexual Harm Scotland Act 2016 that the crime of murder was committed by you against your partner, and I now confirm that 2 years of the punishment part imposed today is apportioned in terms of that significant aggravator. That is all.
The pair, both from Canada, had moved to Scotland just months earlier in 2023. The court previously heard how Pearson told an emergency call handler that he definitely killed Claire by stabbing her about 40 times. The admission came during a 999 call made by his mum, Hazel.
Hi, my name is Aren Pearson.
Who are you?
I just killed my girlfriend in a hot tub in the garage at Ringville, the Annex, Sandnes.
What's your
Shetland.
girlfriend's name?
Claire Leveque.
They also heard Aren take the phone from his mum to tell the operator that he had also stabbed himself and that he had driven his Porsche into the ocean. He said, "I drove my Porsche right into the ocean. It's gone, yeah. She's dead. I definitely killed her to make sure I drowned her after I stabbed her several times." The jurors heard that the cause of Claire's death was established as stab wounds of the neck and chest. 19 of the stab wounds were inflicted on Claire's face and neck. The deadly attack took place at the end of a campaign of domestic abuse which he waged on Claire. His claims that she stabbed herself caused great emotional pain to members of Claire's family, including her dad, Clint Leveque, who had travelled from their North American home to hear harrowing evidence describing the full extent of Claire's injuries. Claire's cousin gave this reaction to the guilty verdict and sentence.
All I want to sit here and say is thank you to everybody, to the detectives, to the Crown, to the judge, to the members of the jury who sat there and listened to all this intense evidence. Because of this, today we were able to get justice for Claire and hopefully start a new path in helping other victims suffering from domestic violence and being able to move forward and come forward. Claire was so isolated in Shetland, but she met a few people there and she made a great impression. She was such a bubbly, fun girl who brought life to every room that she walked into. And I miss her terribly, but it's so nice that we can now move forward and just remember Claire instead of thinking of this awful incident.
The court also heard how following his arrest, Pearson was taken to the Gilbert Bain Hospital in Lerwick after being detained in connection with Claire's death. The jury heard how Pearson had told staff he had stabbed himself in the neck and had consumed brake fluid and driven his car, which the jury heard was a Porsche, off a pier. A&E consultant Dr. Caroline Heggie told prosecutor Margaret Barron that Pearson also made a remark which stuck with her. She added, "He said I've been trying to get rid of her for a while." Prosecutors also produced a 6-minute-long audio recording of the pair speaking to each other. Jurors then heard Claire tell Pearson that he hit her 3 times. Speaking about the alleged abuse, Pearson told her, "You deserved every bit of it and more. You're lucky I didn't bash your head in." Jurors also heard Claire tell the accused, "I love you," before she later added, "You're going to kill me."